All right, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Spraying for 1000, Beyond Spraying for 1000. Jeez, I didn't even remember the name of my own goddamn podcast, but welcome. This is going to be the first episode of June. I kind of took a bit of a break at the end of May, just because it's been a while. I didn't really record anything, and that's something I'm going to fix once I'm done here. There's not really too much that happened, which is completely the opposite of what's about to happen. Excuse me, I'm a little choked up. In a week, I think it's the 12th. I could be wrong. Let me check my thing I linked. Right. So in about a week, because today is June 6th, 2021, they will be having E3 2021, which is kind of a surprise given the global pandemic going on, but I think that's kind of cool. We're going to get the usual couple of game shows as to be expected. I guess I'll just start off with this, which is basically prepping for next week's, which will be a complete deconstruction of it. I might delay next week's podcast because E3 starts on Saturday, June 12th, and then ends on Tuesday, June 15th. So I'm not really sure how that's going to work. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. I might just delay it just so that way I could have everything in, the post E3 podcast. Because the way I used to do it is I would podcast every day of E3. Now I think I'm just gonna do a mix of live streaming and then just podcast either at the end of each day or just at the end of the day in general. Um, so the initial Saturday is pretty much nothing much. It's just Ubisoft and Gearbox. Sunday will be Xbox and Bethesda, remembering that Microsoft acquired Bethesda Studios and they're now under them. So they basically have combined together both of their things into one. Square Enix will also show up and PC Gaming show as well. And then Warner Brothers Games will also be on Sunday as well, basically to talk about Back for Blood. Um, Square Enix and specifically Eidos is going to announce a new game, so a lot of people are kind of rolling the dice on what it really is, if it's a new Deus Ex game or what's going on with that. On Monday, we have Take Two, Mythical, Freedom Games, and Capcom. So it'll basically be like Capcom and Take Two. It's not too ridiculous. And the last day will be Nintendo, which will be, at 12. And then there'll be Bandai Namco. I don't think EA is on here. Are they? Yeah, I don't think EA is on here. I know that on the 9th of June, they're going to talk about the next Battlefield. So that will be something that will happen. I'll probably talk about that next week. Maybe as the first thing, just considering that it's coming out so soon. I guess EA is just not bothering to go, which is fine. So that's pretty much all that I have to say about E3. It's happening. We thought it was pretty much over. In fact, it feels weird because now that I think about it, last year there was just didn't do it. There was nothing happened, and it almost is like such a yearly thing for me at this point. Like, I'm actually like kind of. It kind of messed with my yearly internal annual clock. It's like it's so weird that it just didn't happen at all for a full year, and now it's gonna come back, which is pretty sweet. But other than that, uh, there's not really much to even talk about. I didn't really have too much on the podcast topic, so I just kind of held off, and then my laziness kicked in. I mean, we could pound through this in maybe less than 10 minutes. I mean, Sonic Colors is getting remastered for a fall 2020 release date, and there's a new game that they're making for Sonic. No clue if and when they're going to talk about that. But that's something that they threw out. They had like a Sonic, I don't want to say direct, because everything just ends up becoming a fucking direct at this point, and it just feels weird to continuously say it. Sonic Colors will be called Sonic Colors Ultimate, and it'll come out on September 7th for Switch, PS4, and Xbox One, which might be kind of cool to play, because even though I own Sonic Colors, I never really bought it or played it. It actually comes out a few days before Tales of Arise, which almost could be a worse timing. A lot of the dates for a lot of games are kind of formulating right now. So before, where it was mostly, I think, just Endwalker and like a couple other things, now we also have uh, Ghostwire Tokyo, which is the Shinji Mikami game, and Tango Gameworks. We have Tales of Arise, like I said. Back for Blood got delayed from its like May something release to October 12th. And Far Cry 6 also got revealed. That's another thing I didn't actually add to the podcast topics, but whatever, I'll talk about it now. Far Cry 6 got revealed, which will be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to it because I did enjoy Far Cry 5. That's really it, I think, for me. Endwalker, obviously, like I said. Judgment is getting ported, I think, and they are, or it has been ported, and they're releasing a sequel to it, Lost Judgment. That's about it that I could see. Like I said, not really too much. There's Mario Golf is coming out, in what is it, like a week or like 3 weeks or something like that. That's about it, yeah. And then where we are now, there's nothing much coming out. Okay. Beyond that, actually, what day is this coming out? And what day is it today? The 6th? Oh, God. Um, Dragon Quest 12 got announced, along with a remake of Dragon Quest 3, because Square Enix is pretty much upping their game when it comes to releasing Dragon Quest games in America. And I can't hate them for that. I think that's a great idea. Like Final Fantasy games. I mean, Final Fantasy got that treatment ages ago, but it's always good to be able to port stuff and make it available for people to play. I never would say that that's a bad thing. Um, Ubisoft has probably restarted Skull and Bones development from the ground up. If you're not familiar with what Skull and Bones is, it's the pirate multiplayer versus game. They basically got it from Black Flag. Obviously, Ubisoft makes Assassin's Creed, and they wanted to spin it off into its own game series. Now, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm going to look this up because I'm forgetting how long ago this game was announced. Pretty sure they showed this game back in like 20. Hold on, that's not what I want. 2016, I want to say. Oh my God, it links to a fucking Gilmore Girls. What? You can't even Google this fucking game. You gotta type in game. That's how niche this thing is. It was announced and it did not come out and it was forgotten. Let's see here. On Wikipedia, it is a, let's see. Ubisoft Singapore made something else I remember. Set to release sometime after March 2022. It is a tactical action game set in an open world environment and played from a third person perspective. Players can take control of a customizable pirate captain. I guess it's not a multiplayer game. That's fine. I really kind of wish, though, that this was just another Assassin's Creed game. I'm not gonna lie. It seems to me like this kind of fell by the wayside ages ago, and it's just gonna drop someday. We have no clue when. I mean, they say it's coming out 2022 or sometime after 2022. I mean, geez, man. Like, when was this even announced? Let's see. Hold on. It was announced at 2017's E3. Okay, so it's been like 4 years, and they had to completely restart development. That's nice. And it was supposed to come out in 2018. Then it was delayed, and then it was delayed again, and then it was pushed back to now, and now it's just, who even knows? It's sometime for April 2022 to March 2023. So, geez, just God, this game is gonna come out sometime. I'll be like dead by then or something. I don't know. That's pretty ridiculous if you ask me. But I mean, it's a good idea. Like, I'm not gonna shit on it. It's a good idea. I mean, clearly it worked well in Assassin's Creed 4, which is, in my opinion, one of the better Assassin's Creed. So it clearly works in a decent way. It's just, what do you want me to say? Probably the best piece of news that I liked was that Deep Silver is moving to create a Free Radical studio, or is moving to create Free Radical Studio with aims at making a new Time Splitters game. Now, this to me was like hype, because I love Time Splitters. So specifically what they said, should I pull this up? I should probably pull this up. I'm pretty bad about this today. There you go. Let's see. A new Deep Silver studio is coming, Free Radical Design. So, you asked and we listened. We have been working on plans to bring back the Time Splitters franchise back to life, and we are pleased to let you know that we are setting up a new Deep Silver development studio to do just that. Free Radical Design is reforming and will be headed up by industry and Time Splitters veterans Steve Ellis and David Doak. I hope I pronounced that last name right. This is an exciting first step in the process. Development on a new game has not yet started, and we'll update you when we have more news to share. That is really awesome in my mind. I might have talked about this already. I'm not sure if I did. But honestly, that's pretty cool. I really do like that because I want to get a new Time Splitters game, and I'm sure they're not going to shut down Time Splitters Rewind. I don't think that that's their goal. It's cool that a lot of people just like this franchise enough to keep it going. And in the wake of things like Toys for Bob getting completely shit on and moved to the Warzone category or the Warzone development teams, it's nice to know that at least something might still exist. Maybe, probably not. Um, I digress, kinda. Square Enix is developing a new Final Fantasy called Final Fantasy Origins. It supposedly is an action-based Final Fantasy game. I'm sure that's what they're going to show off um, at E3 because that's, obviously it's a pretty big deal. It's apparently going to be exclusive to PS5 and then it will eventually come to PC. Uh, it's also apparently being worked on by Team Ninja. Something this close to E3 probably isn't fake, but we only gotta wait a week to even figure it out anyway. This comes from Nibelion, who's pretty reliable as a source, so I kind of trust him when it comes to this. Uh, it's apparently more accessible than Neo and Souls games and connected to the very first Final Fantasy game. So who knows if it's going to be a remake? Um, I have no idea. We'll have to wait and see, but I got nothing against it. I like Final Fantasy when it's good, which is almost never anymore, so I'll take what I can get. Ubisoft also wants to move more towards high-end free-to-play games instead of 3 to 4 AAA games a year. Now, this is where I get kind of iffy, because, I think a lot of companies are starting to really, having taken the last few years to take a look at games like Warzone and Fortnite, which are coincidentally both battle royales. They kind of have to ask the question, well, I mean, if we can make a sustainable amount of money, just purely based off of shipping out, 3D games, sorry, not 3D games, that's such an obvious thing, shipping out, free-to-play games, then why are we going to instead dump millions into producing games that may or may not do well enough? And I think that that's a fair enough assessment, from a financial standpoint. Obviously, what ends up happening is that a lot of these games don't end up being the very strong storyline games that you would hope that a lot of these games end up being, especially the single player ones. I think that obviously there's a ton of studios out there that prove that you can still move a single player game for $60 if you make it well enough and you market it well enough. I don't think we need to go down the list of what games are reasonable at $60. Even just last year's Ghost of Tsushima pretty much handles that itself. But I think really the biggest problem about it is that a lot of companies are just starting to take looks at that. And while I think there are good ideas that are really done well if they're free to play. I know that Apex is that. My friends play that a lot. I think that Ubisoft could have jumped on the Battle Royale wagon, and they kind of did long before anyone else with the Division's survival mode. I don't know why that was not immediately turned into something different. They could have that be a free-to-play game, and you could buy Division on top of that. See, that kind of thing works for a lot of games because it lets people get a foot in the door, and then maybe later on they might change their mind. They want to buy the full product to play more out of it or to play with their friends. I feel like there's definitely something to be said there, which is why I don't mind it. But do I think that this is going to suddenly hit Assassin's Creed out of nowhere? No, Assassin's Creed will probably always be one of their big AAA games. They seem determined to keep Watch Dogs around, which isn't bad either. So I have nothing against that. But it'll be interesting to see what gets the cut and turned into, and what free to play games do they more move into than anything else. Because I could not see them offering an Assassin's Creed game for free. How would that work? You can already beat these games without buying stuff. I doubt they would intentionally tank their fucking shit that hard, especially given that the last game that they did that had ridiculous microtransactions, which was Breakpoint, more or less fell off the map, and I don't even think it was that well received to begin with. Which is sad, because when you come off of games like Wildlands and you see what they could really do with a co-op experience, Wildlands might have been one of my favorite co-op experiences I've ever done, just based on the fact that we did pretty much everything in the game, all the major stuff. It was enjoyable to play with 4 people, and it was a very fun time. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. It was a great experience, and I really just wonder, what games are Ubisoft of all people possibly going to figure this out with? The kings of open world games, which have so many hours of gameplay in them. Who really even knows? In my opinion. that to me is going to be a very iffy sort of a deal, just because I know how Ubisoft games are. Usually they're pretty decent about it, but I wouldn't want to push that too much. Um, to directly quote from it, which is a Video Games Chronicle article. I guess I'll pull this back up yet again. There you go. Yeah, fucking tab snoozing is annoying. I need to figure out how to turn that off for good. Ubisoft says it's changing strategy to focus more on high-end free-to-play games, and obviously emphasis on the high-end portion. Assassin's Creed... Okay, they're just known for Assassin's Creed, which isn't a bad thing to be known for. I mean, it's better than most franchises still, but goddamn. Um, Assassin's Creed firm says it will no longer rely on 3 to 4 AAA games each year. There was something in here I wanted to... What's it called? Alright, and they clarified it. Yeah, this was it. I wanted to clarify this. I almost forgot about this. I had to click into this to remember this. It does not mean it does not mean less premium games. They just want to diversify the type of games that they will deliver. So that's actually good. If it means they're putting in more work, maybe something will really show up. Oh, good. Well, no Time Splitters showing at E3. Well, you know what? That's cool. At least they confirmed it's already happening, so I'm willing to wait a year or two for something else to happen. Oh, look. Hey, look. It's immediately this. Division the Heartland. Okay, cool. Don't care. Other than that, I think that might have been it. Oh, and Rainbow Six Quarantine is coming out this year, supposedly. That was the other one I wanted to talk about. Is that they kind of... This was the only place I could find it initially. They kind of talk about other stuff in Ubisoft's thing. Assassin's Creed recorded its strongest sales year to date, which is interesting. I'm not sure if that's... I understand what year to date means, but I guess Valhalla really had a strong outing. Might have been boosted by the fact that, Assassin's Creed, believe it or not, is still popular. I know sometimes it feels like I'm the only person in my friends group that plays it, but, I guess a lot of other people play it. It's sold on multiple consoles. It's significantly a bigger launch than Unity was when it originally came out. Because despite all the glitches and weird stuff that happens in Valhalla, it is nowhere near as bad as Unity. So yeah. I'm glad that Valhalla worked out. I'm interested to see where they go. If you haven't checked out my Valhalla playthrough, it's on my channel. It is my longest base game playthrough, and obviously the DLCs make it longer. It is probably the most content I've ever put out on my channel to date. So if you're interested in that, it's a very long form playthrough. I basically did almost everything in the game. Yes, I am shilling myself in my own podcast. It's my show. Deal with it. But I like Assassin's Creed games still. It's definitely a different but you know what? I can respect that. And I mean, listen, if it means that we still get the same quality games, I'm not going to knock them for producing other things. Whether or not those are good things is another story entirely, but I wouldn't knock them inherently off of this. Now, will this succeed as a push? I don't know. Probably not. Odds are usually that a lot of things like this never really go anywhere and they never really end up doing too well. However, I'm willing to at least give them the benefit of the doubt. They say they're going to do something. Let's see what they do it. I've been lulled into this sense far too often to immediately commit, mentally, that it'll work. I'm just interested to see what happens. Maybe we will get a Division Battle Royale, because I genuinely like Division Survival Mode, and I kind of wish that going forward they had added more maps for it and stuff. That in my mind would have been a game to really buy into and play. And then obviously whatever loot you get, you could send to your base game Division file. I really feel like the Division having a sequel doing the Destiny treatment was kind of a mistake, but I digress there as well. Let's see. Respawn pissed off a bunch of people because they responded to Polygon, who made an incorrect statement about Apex Legends. I kind of threw this on the document last second because I thought it was absolutely hilarious that so many journalists got completely butthurt because they dared to correct them and said, "We suggest you check your sources." I really feel like someone at Respawn had a lot of fucking fun doing that, and that, in my opinion, is never not hilarious. And it actually happened again. They had a hard drive article. I'm not gonna find it now, but they had a hard drive article making fun of game reviewers who were like, "Oh, IGN game reviewer excited to play game after he finishes reviewing it," which I thought was hilarious. And obviously, a lot of people thought it's hilarious because game journalists are just... Oh man, they're a very unique bunch. I gotta say that they are absolutely hilarious when they get annoyed at people, and on Twitter too. I had a laugh at that, and I always have a laugh at their expense because somehow they find a way to take the easiest job probably in existence and turn it into like this. Like there's some of them that do investigative work, like Jason Schreier for whatever stuff that he does move his ass. He does do a lot of research. He does do have probably contacts and stuff. He actually, pokes and prods people for information, which is why he's allowed to release bangers like what was it, the Anthem thing? Hang on, I'm gonna open up one of them, right? Where is it? Yeah, how Bioware's Anthem went wrong, I think, is the one that I have, right? Yeah. So like credit to him when he does that, because this is in my opinion one of my favorite gaming articles of all time. I didn't even put it on the screen. This is in my opinion one of my favorite gaming articles of all time, just purely based off the fact that look how long this fucking thing is. You can't even see the scroll bar. I'm gonna show you the scroll bar if I can. Oh shit. My bad. Probably shouldn't fuck with this. Look how far the scroll bar is. This is a long fucking article with a lot of history in it. And you know what? It was one of the best things that I've ever read in my life, and it was abso-fucking-lutely hilarious to laugh at BioWare for all the dumb shit that they did. Just all the stuff that they did leading up after Andromeda. Hell, this shit goes even as far back as like I think Mass Effect 2. How ridiculous some of their shit gets. Maybe even Mass Effect 1. But I'm not gonna get into it here. It's one of my favorite articles for a reason because of how much effort and work clearly went into it. So I can't hate it at all. Let's see. Hold on. I have another tab open. Is EA showing up? At all? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think EA is showing up at all this E3. Let me Google it. E3 2021. Yeah, I don't think so. No, they say there's an EA Play. Yeah. When is it? What? The fuck? Yeah, I don't think they're going to E3. Yeah, okay, here we go. I got it. As one of the game industry's largest publishers plans to show off its potential fall lineup and upcoming releases, while the stream's increased separation from E3 means there's a lot about the event left to uncover. Here's what we know regarding the dates, times, and from Battlefield 6 to Dragon Age 4. Here are some of it. When is it? It'll be July 22nd, 2022. 2021, sorry. July 22nd, 2021. My bad. Alright, there you go. So they are delaying it a month. I don't know why. And then they speculate all the different things that they might drop, which is fine. Okay, that's really all I wanted to know. Because I'm like, why? It's usually very rare that people stray from E3, although I know that people are less dependent on it to get news out now. Especially now that anyone can just make a live stream and a direct or whatever and have their, like Patrick Soderlund or Aisha Tyler come out and talk to people and get them riled up. So I can't totally hate on that. That's really kind of it. Oh, no, it's not. Berserk author Kentaro Miura passed away. It was really kind of a sad day for manga because a lot of people were unsure. Well, first of all, a lot of people were sad that such a visionary and such an artist had unfortunately, apparently, I think he died like from a burst aorta and like out of nowhere. It's not clear to me exactly how he died, but it was random. He's pretty young to my knowledge. He's only like in his 50s or something. And the reason I found out about it initially was actually I went on believe it or not, I went on Final Fantasy 14, and people all throughout Ul'dah, which is one of the cities in it, were lined up as Dark Knights. So it was causing actual like loading issues for me because it only loads so many people in a given area. And I was like, wow, something is happening. And then I went on my Discord and my friends were talking about how he passed away because a lot of them are big Berserk fans. Dark Knight in 14 is inspired by Berserk. And from there, it was like, wow, so many people are absolutely touched by it. Soulsborne people were very saddened by it. A lot of people are just... It's one of those things that, like, it's old, so it's not, like, super at the front mainstream of stuff. But it's something everyone knows at least a little bit of because it's one of the, like, original derivative things for manga and stuff. And I really kind of feel for them because a lot of people were very anxiously, sort of looking forward to how Berserk would end. Now, I believe they have some plans. I know a lot of mangaka do this. They have some plans maybe left over in case they do pass away before finishing their work. but it's unknown, and a lot of people were really looking forward to it. A lot of people are fans of Berserk. It's just one of those sad days, that a true visionary unfortunately leaves this world so soon at such a young age. Um, and I know that a lot of people say that that's kind of a relative statement, but you know what I mean. It's really a tragedy when people just die so young. This was about a month ago, so I know I'm not like super fast on this, but yeah, that's how long I've been delaying this podcast. But I mean, it is definitely something that really makes me kind of sad, and to think that so much stuff that I like was influenced by it does kind of really. It's one of those things you just it's sad no matter how you look at it. Um, that's really all I have. I think I don't really think I have anything else. Sega is cool with Sonic fan games, provided no profit is involved, which is okay, I guess. I think Sega's really onto some different stuff lately between Yakuza and having. The only people that are really stir crazy about their stuff being used is Atlas. So, like, Shin Megami Tensei 5 is coming out this year. I genuinely don't even know if I can do a playthrough on it or not. Because Atlas will have rules for what you can and can't show on their games when they publish them, and then they'll change them. Like they'll punish some people, not punish others, and this is just kind of like why I don't really understand like Atlas games in general. So I really don't usually play them anymore, and I'm really kind of hesitant to play them because of that. But I mean, it is what it is. I don't think it's necessarily a terrible thing. I'm looking forward to Shin Megami Tensei 5. That's the other game coming out this fall. Thank you. It has, I think, a release date like a week away from Pokemon. I was saying to myself, that isn't that great. They're going to get completely overshadowed by Pokemon. What the fuck is this? Okay, good thing I do not have screen share on. I shouldn't even have this open. I got my fucking Google Drive open with a whole bunch of other stuff that I probably shouldn't show. Let's see here. It's actually funny. I found one of my old resumes in here, which was pretty nice. Uh, I was like, oh shit, I did make this like 4 years ago, and a bunch of old homeworks and stuff. Yeah, I use this particular Google Drive. Um, I use this. I really should just download everything. This is where I have all the podcasts, by the way. Actually, can I show this? I think I can show this. Oh no, I can't. No, there's my fucking resume. Holy shit. It's like I have podcasts as far back as podcast 80, and we're now on podcast, what is it, 129? So I'm gonna remove most of this stuff, and I need to put it on different Google documents. I cannot believe I found my fucking resume on here too, because I had it in PDF and I didn't know how to edit it. So what I had to do is I had to remake it. But then I found that I upload. I need to here. Okay, let me give you a pro life tip. This is so obviously like common sense because I'm an idiot. But what you do is you take your important documents, right? You store them on your hard drive. You get them on a Word documents are small as fuck, right? Like you're not gonna fill up a thumb drive anymore of Word documents. Like for all the years I've used this, I only have about 430 some megabytes of my 15 used by Google. Yeah, don't even think about it. It's fine. Store it on a thumb drive so you could take it with you, or you know where it is, right? If you need to take it to another computer or something, maybe even email it to yourself. And then lastly, upload it to the drive. Upload it to something online so that way you can pull it back. I actually almost deleted family photos by accident because I thought I had moved them and I didn't. So when you make a copy of something, make another copy of it as well. Now, obviously, if you're making like big video file sizes like me, when I make like a 9 gigabyte Valhalla part, right? Like technically I am uploading it to the drive because I'm uploading it to YouTube, which is a big archive. But let's hypothetically pretend that I don't. Like, I delete my RAWs pretty much as soon as I have the finished product. There's no reason to keep like a 500 gigabyte, or it's more like a 200 gigabyte recording. I get rid of it. Video files are one thing, right? Like you could compress it, you could lower the quality, you could do a bunch to make it smaller. They're just generally big. Pictures, Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, all that stuff. They're nothing. Just make copies of it. Make copies out the ass. Who cares, right? Like even some of the biggest images I know are only a couple, like a dozen or so megabytes, right? Like a couple dozen megabytes. So save yourself a lot of heartache. I'm really beseeching you because I actually lost. I lost my Resident Evil guide. If we go back to what's it called? I lost that Resident Evil guide for that stream I did ages ago. I did a stream on Resident Evil remaster, technically, yeah. And I did a stream on it where I ran through the game knife only, no saving, because I wrote a custom guide for myself, and I lost it. And the funny thing is I found it, and I guess I thought I put it somewhere, and then I lost it again. So I have to redo that guide from the ground up, which isn't the worst thing ever. I guess when I get the game for Xbox, I'll probably run through it again, try to get that again. But like the point still remains, like I basically fucked myself, right? Like I put like at least a dozen hours into writing that guide, and I didn't even do the due diligence of just emailing it to myself, right? Like just send it. You could fire an email right back to your same address, right? Like I'm like whatever. This has nothing to do with the podcast. This is completely real life shit. Not even sure how I got on this to begin with, but the point is just don't be an idiot like me. Discord and Sony will partner and integrate Discord into PSN in 2022. That will be interesting. It kind of comes after Discord like turned down Microsoft's acquisition requests, so they're going to remain independent, but they'll integrate. I'm actually surprised that they didn't even just settle to integrate into Xbox Live, which is kind of interesting. And lastly, Twitch addressed hot tub streams. I really don't care at this point. It was kind of funny in the day. It was like, wow, look at them doing this thing that's obviously really, really ridiculous. But the hot tub meta will continue. They have no problem with it, of course. Yeah, that's really all I have to say. I really didn't have too much. So next week, because next week is going to be the big thing. I will be streaming pretty much those 4 days in a row. What are the hours? Oh, fuck, hold on. Let me look. Pre-show starts at 1 p.m. Eastern. I don't know how long it'll run. So at 1 p.m. Eastern, I'll show up. Then on Sunday, it'll be 11:45 a.m. Eastern. We're going to have a whole bunch of stuff for that. June 14th, we will get 11 a.m. and then 11 a.m. I wonder why it starts 11:45 a.m. Oh, that's the pre-show. I'm sorry. I guess I got to wait and see. They got, like, pre-shows and stuff. I know that maybe I'll show up for the pre-show. I might, if it's nothing much, I'll just turn it off and leave it in the background, and we'll just chill on stream the whole time. I guess we'll get the full schedule as the week progresses. So we'll see from there. Obviously, we'll get a whole bunch of other stuff, so. Alright. That's totally fine from now. I will talk with you guys later. I wanted to make sure I got this done early before I started recording, so that way I could get it uploaded, because I do want to keep dropping podcasts on Sundays. However, like I said, this coming week's podcast will probably be dropped on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, because I want to get everything from E3 in it. So we'll see what happens with that in particular. But until then, take it easy. I'll see you for episode 130. Peace out.